والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعكروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for the beautiful recitation. May Allah bless us all with the guidance of Holy Quran. Now to formally open today's program, I am honored to invite Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, Director of Population Research Center, Peshawar, to kindly deliver his warm welcome.
Respected Liaquat Ali Khan Sahib, Special Assistant to Chief Minister for Population Welfare, Dr. Johar Ali Khan, Vice Chancellor, University of Peshawar, representatives of UN agencies, respected parliamentarians, distinguished guests, respected colleagues, community representatives, and dear friends, Assalamu alaikum. It is my great honor to welcome you all to this important gathering on flood, displacement, and resilience. The Population Research Center, University of Peshawar, was established in December 2020 with the support of UNFPA and the Population Council of Pakistan. The main purpose was to conduct, promote, build capacity for and strengthen interdisciplinary population study research in Pakistan and particularly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In last 4 years, with the cooperation of UNFPA and Population Council, I, along with my team members of Population Research Center, University of Peshawar, achieved the target, but we still need to do hard work and try to be more successful in the field of population studies, means demography, which plays a key role in the development of the country at provincial levels. I'm very much thankful to UNFPA and SDPI for their kind support and help to arrange today's event, with the topic being Gender Responsive Climate Action Plan for Displaced Populations in Pakistan. Pakistan has witnessed the devastating force of floods, especially in recent years. Entire villages has been submerged, millions of families uprooted, and countless livelihoods disrupted. Beyond the statistics are being stories of struggle, courage, and survivals. Mothers who carried their children through floodwaters, farmers who lost their fields overnight, and young individuals forced to abandon their schools and homes. Today, as we come together, our purpose is not only to reflect on these hardships, but to share knowledge, build partnerships, and explore sustainable solutions. This dialogue is a step towards ensuring that those displaced are not forgotten and that their dignity, safety, and future remain at the heart of our collective response. I especially welcome the voices of women, youth, and marginalized communities present here, whose perspectives must guide our policies and actions. Your experiences are invaluable in shaping solutions that are inclusive, practical, and lasting. Let us use this forum to commit ourselves to resilience, to prepare better, responding faster, and rebuilding stronger, with compassion and equity at the center of our efforts. Once again, I warmly welcome you all, and I look forward to the fruitful discussions and collaborations that all emerge from today's event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Fatma Muzammil to moderate the dialogue from here.
تھینک یو سو مچ تھینک یو اقبال صاحب. آپ کے یہ ریمارکس ہمیں ریمائنڈ کرتے ہیں کہ اس ڈائلاگ کا فاؤنڈیشن ایویڈنس اور پارٹنرشپ پر بیسڈ ہے. السلام علیکم ایوری ون. آن بہاف آف آل D4D partners, program led by UNFPA and implemented by SDPI, I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. So basically UNFPA کا Data for Development Initiative, اٹس اے بگر پروگرام اور یہ ڈائلاگ اس کا ایک حصہ ہے. پاکستان کلائمیٹ چینج کے حوالے سے سب سے زیادہ ولنریبل کنٹریز میں شامل ہے. 2025 کے فلڈز نے ہمیں پروف کیا کہ کس اسکیل پر ڈسپلیسمنٹ ہوئی ہے, اسپیشلی فیمیلز پر سب سے زیادہ اس کا اثر ہوا ہے ان ٹرمز آف ہیلتھ, ایجوکیشن, پروٹیکشن, لائیولیہڈ, سب امپیکٹ ہوئے ہیں. So for today's session, I request you all, we are more into forward-looking suggestions. The objectives are quite simple. We want کہ سب stakeholders مل کر gender responsive displacement کے لیے practical recommendations دیں جو گورنمنٹ آف خیبر پختونخوا اپنے پلاننگ سائیکل میں یوز کر سکے. Once again, sincere thanks to UNFPA, Ms. Mahjabeen, Atar Sahab, the one who have helped us a lot in drafting this. So thank you so much. So now I would like to invite Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan, Special Assistant to Chief Minister, Population Welfare Department, Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, to kindly share his thoughts, please. Please, sir.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین. صدق اللہ العظیم. قابل قدر وائس چانسلر صاحب, ڈائریکٹر پاپولیشن ریسرچ سینٹر پشاور یونیورسٹی, UNFPA کے معززین, ہمارے پارلیمنٹیرین کولیگ اور جتنے بھی شرکاء ہیں, السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. یقیناً یہ تو میرے لیے اعزاز کی بات ہے کہ آج میں ایک ایسی موقع پہ کچھ بولنے کا جسارت ملا ہے کہ یہ ایک عالمیہ ہے اور پاکستان کے لیے اور پاکستانیوں کے لیے سوچ کا مقام ہے آج. اور اس کے پشاور یونیورسٹی میں ریسرچ سینٹر بھی ہے, تو اس کے لیے میں ڈائریکٹر صاحب کا بھی مشکور ہوں, اور انشاءاللہ میں ابھی منتھلی وزٹ کروں گا. یہ بھی میرا پرامس ہے, کیونکہ آج کل ہم لائٹ لیتے ہیں لیکن سب سے زیادہ ضرورت پاپولیشن ڈپارٹمنٹ کی ہے اس پاکستان کے لیے. اور پھر جس موضوع پہ آپ لوگوں نے ٹاپک رکھا ہے وہ تو بدقسمتی سے خیبر پختونخوا کا مقدر بنا ہے. کبھی دہشت گردی کی وجہ سے لوگ ڈسپلیس ہوتے ہیں، کبھی موسمیاتی تبدیلی کی وجہ سے، اور زیادہ تر میں یہ سمجھتا ہوں کہ یہ حقیقت ہے کہ اس ٹائم میں خواتین کو بہت زیادہ تکلیف اس لیے ہوتے ہیں کہ بھی سیلاب آتے ہیں تو اس سے مختلف قسم کی بیماریاں شروع ہوتے ہیں. اس کی اسکول کالجز وہ اپنی جگہ سے جب ڈسپلیس ہوتے ہیں تو دوسری جگہ میں وہ اسکول کالجز اس طریقے سے وہ کنٹینیو نہیں رکھ سکتے. تو اس کے لیے دنیا نے اپنے قوم کے لیے، اپنے لوگوں کے لیے سوچ کے رکھا ہوتا ہے، اور اس کے لیے جو ایمرجنسی حالت کے لیے لوگوں نے کچھ پہلے سے سوچ کے رکھے ہوتے ہیں. حالانکہ ہم جب ایمرجنسی آتے ہیں تو پھر اسی ٹائم سوچتے ہیں. دنیا پہلے سوچتے ہیں، پھر پلاننگ کرتے ہیں، پھر فائنینسنگ کے بات کرتے ہیں. لیکن ہم پہلے فائنینسنگ کے بات کرتے ہیں، تھنکنگ اور پلاننگ وہ پھر بعد کی باتیں ہوتے ہیں. ابھی ہمارے بہت سارے ایسے میں نے سنا ہے کہ انگریز لوگ کبھی دریا کے کنارے اور پہاڑ کے نیچے کبھی بھی اپنا گھر نہیں بناتے، اور ہمارے زیادہ تر آبادیاں ایسے ہے کہ وہ ندیوں میں ہیں. جب بھی قدرتی آفات آتے ہیں تو جیسا کہ بنیر میں ہمارے ہستی سے وہ پورا بستی مٹایا، میرے اپنے یونین کونسل میں اس تندر کے وجہ سے ایک پورا خاندان پانی میں بہہ گیا. باجوڑ میں، سوابی میں بہت ساری ایسی، یہ اس لیے کہ ہم نے پہلے سے پلاننگ نہیں کی ہے. پلاننگ کی ضرورت ہے. ابھی اگر پلاننگ نہیں ہے تو ظاہر ہے کہ یہ مسائل، یہ ابھی ہم پہلے تو ہم نے تقریباً 400 لوگ اس میں ہم نے شہادتی دی، کیونکہ پانی میں جو بہتے ہیں وہ بھی شہادت کا درجہ رکھتے ہیں. تو 400 تو ہمارے ابھی شہادتی ہوئی. 60 لاکھ تک لوگ ہمارے انڈائریکٹ ٹوٹل پاکستان میں افیکٹ ہو گئی. 16 لاکھ تک لوگ ڈائریکٹ افیکٹ ہو گئی، بے گھر ہو گئی. ہمارے فصلیں تباہ ہو گئی، اس لیے کہ ہم نے پہلے سے اس کے لیے کوئی پلاننگ نہیں کی. ہم نے زیادہ تر ندیوں میں، زیادہ تر خوڑ میں، زیادہ تر جو سندھ کے کنارے ہوتے ہیں اس کو ہم نے بند کیا ہوتے ہیں. پانی کے راستے ہم نے بند کیے ہوتے ہیں. جب ادھر پانی کا بہاؤ بڑھتا ہے تو پھر جب کھلتے ہیں تو سارے وہ اپنے آگے سب کچھ بہا کے لے جاتے ہیں. اس لیے کہ ادھر پلاننگ نہیں ہے، اس لیے کہ ادھر قانون پہ کوئی عمل نہیں کرتا ہے. ہم نے پاکستان کو بہت بڑی تعداد میں کریول دیا ہوا ہے، ساری تو سے بات کے میں معذرت، لیکن ہم نے پاکستان کو ایسے لوگ نہیں دیا ہے جو پاکستان کے لیے سوچے، اس وطن کے لیے سوچے، اس وطن کے آئین اور قانون کے لیے سوچے، اس وطن کے ان بے کس اور بے بس لوگوں کے لیے سوچے. ہم نے صرف اور صرف ایسے لوگ پیدا کیے ہوئے ہیں. دنیا میں جس کے ساتھ اپرادھی قوت ہوتے ہیں وہ سب سے زیادہ تگڑے لوگ ہوتے ہیں، لیکن ادھر ہمارے پاپولیشن ڈپارٹمنٹ کی جو کچھ مخصوص ہدایات ہے اس پہ عمل نہ کرنے کی وجہ سے ہم زیادہ تر بچے سٹنٹڈ پیدا ہوتے ادھر، اس لیے کہ پلاننگ نہیں ہے. اگر پلاننگ ہوتے، میں تو آپ لوگ ڈسپرس یا ڈسپلیس لوگوں کے بارے میں بات کرتے ہیں یا کلائمیٹ چینج کے بارے میں بات کرتے ہیں، لیکن یہ کلائمیٹ چینج بھی تب آتے ہیں، یہ جنگلات کی کٹائیوں کی وجہ سے ہمارے ادھر موسمیاتی تبدیلی آئی ہیں. اس کے لیے جب ہمارے خان صاحب نے بلین سونامی ٹریز کے بارے میں بات کی تو سارے لوگ اس کے پیچھے، ان لوگوں نے کسی نے اس کی طرف توجہ ہی نہیں دی تھی. پلاننگ ایسے ہوتے ہیں، دنیا پہلے 100 سال کے بعد آنے والی چیزوں کے لیے ابھی سے پلاننگ کرتے ہیں. ابھی اگر ہم یہ جنگلات ادھر ہوتے ہیں تو سیلاب کو رکواتے ہیں، موسمیاتی تبدیلیاں وہ رکواتے ہیں، لیکن ہم اس طرف کبھی بھی توجہ نہیں کرتے. ہم صرف اور صرف راتوں رات کروڑپتی بننے کے سوچ میں سارے پاکستانی لگے ہوئے ہوتے، سارے لوگ کروڑپتی بننے کے چکر میں ہوتے، اور کروڑپتی بننا ایزی کم ایزی گو والی کہانی ہوگی، وہ پھر ایسے ہی چلے جاتے ہیں. اگر ہم نے پلاننگ کی اپنے لوگوں کے لیے کہ اگر کل ایمرجنسی آ جائیں دوبارہ، وہ ہمارے وہ ایک ایم پی صاحب نے بولا کہ ٹول سارے گھر آسمان کے نیچے اور آسمان کے نیچے پانی آتے ہیں، تو مطلب ہم تو سارے آسمان کے نیچے ہے پھر, اور آسمان سے وہ عذاب دوبارہ بھی آ سکتا ہے. تو اس کے لیے پلاننگ ہونا چاہیے. یہ میں ایز اے حکومت کا ایک حصہ دار ہوں, میں کیبنٹ ممبر ہوں, میرے اوپر جو بھی ذمہ داریاں ہوتے ہیں میں وہ ذمہ داری کو انشاءاللہ پورا کروں گا. اور معاشرے کی جو ذمہ داری ہے, ہر ایک اگر اپنا اپنا ذمہ داری پوری کریں تو انشاءاللہ کسی بھی ناگہانی قدرتی آفات کے لیے ہم اگر ایک دوسرے کے شانہ بشانے ہوں گی تو کوئی بھی مسئلہ نہیں ہوگی. اس کے لیے پلاننگ ہونا چاہیے, اور وہ پلاننگ ایسی ہی پروگراموں سے ہوتے ہیں. میں مشکور ہوں UNFPA کی کہ اس نے ایسی مہم اور اہم موضوع پہ ان لوگوں نے اور ریسرچ سینٹر پہ پھر پاپولیشن کی یہ سیمینار منعقد کیا ہے. تو میں مشکور ہوں کہ اس سے ہمیں بہت سارے فائدے ملے گی. میں پھر بھی ایک ریکویسٹ کروں گا کہ اس کی جو منٹس ہوگی وہ میرے ساتھ, کیونکہ میرا مجبوری ہے اور VC صاحب کا بھی مجبوری ہے, اس نے بھی کہیں جانا ہے, اور میں نے بھی زیادہ ٹائم اس لیے نہیں لینا ہے کہ میرا 1-2 میٹنگ اور ہے. میں اس موضوع کو بہت اہم اور مہم سمجھتا تھا, اس لیے میں نے حاضری کی ہے. لیکن پاکستانی ہونے کے ناطے ہم نے ساروں نے سوچ کے رکھنا ہے, کیونکہ اگر ہم مصیبت کے وقت ایک دوسرے کے کام نہ آئے, مصیبت کے وقت کے لیے ہم نہ سوچیں, تو پھر ہم ایک ذمہ داری پورا نہیں کر پائیں گے. کیونکہ اللہ سبحانہ وتعالیٰ فرماتے ہیں, رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم, کلکم راعٍ وکلکم مسئول عن رعیتہ, ہر ایک سے اس کے رعایا کے بارے میں پوچھا جائے گا. آج آپ لوگ ادھر جو اس ٹیبل پہ ہیں تو آپ لوگ کوئی سوچ رکھنے والے لوگ ہیں, آپ لوگوں میں گنے ہوئے لوگ ہیں, آپ لوگ اس معاشرے کی کریم ہے, اس لیے آپ لوگوں کو ادھر انوائٹ کیا ہے اور چنا ہے. تو آپ سب لوگ کی ذمہ داری, ہمارے سہاروں کی ذمہ داری بنتے ہیں کہ ہم اپنے قوم کے لیے جو بھی ناگہانی افات آتے ہیں اس کے لیے بھی سوچیں, اس کے لیے بھی کوئی پلاننگ کرے, اور آئندہ کے لیے عمل جو بھی ہم نے بنانا ہے. ابھی ڈائریکٹر صاحب نے ایک بات کی باہر کہ جاپان میں تھا تو ادھر میرے گھر ایک خط آیا, ایک کارڈ آیا کہ آپ لوگ کمنٹس کرے کہ ادھر اس ملک میں کیا کمی ہے. تو ہم نے جو کیا کہا, اس نے ہمارے بات کو وزن دی, ہمیں عزت دی, جا کے ہمارے ساتھ ڈسکس کی. لوگ ایسی ہی ترقی کرتے ہیں کہ کمنٹس مانگے لوگوں سے, اس کے سوچ مانگے کہ ہم کیسے ترقی کریں گے, اس مصیبت سے, اس دلدل سے ہم کیسے نکلیں گے. تو آپ سارے لوگوں سے میں زیادہ ٹائم اس لیے نہیں لیتا ہوں کیونکہ میرا دوسری بھی جگہ بھی مجبوری ہے, اور VC صاحب کا بھی بہت جلدی میں ہے, تو اس کا بھی اس لیے ٹائم نہیں لیتا ہوں کہ میں جب ٹائم لیتا ہوں تو وہ لیٹ ہو جائے گی. تو مجبوری ہے میرا, ورنہ یہ اتنا اہم اور مہم ٹاپک ہے کہ اس پہ اگر گھنٹوں بھی بولا جائے تو بھی کم ہے, اس پہ جتنا بھی ٹائم اس کے لیے دے دے پھر بھی کم ہے. یہ کتابوں میں پورا نہیں ہوں گی اس کے بعد ہی. کمپیوٹر بھی لاچار ہے اس سے, کیونکہ آج کل ہمارے پاکستان میں لوگ اپنے ذات کے لیے سوچتے ہیں صرف, اور زندگی یہ ہے کہ آپ جیو تو ملک کے لیے جیو. جان کنیڈی اپنے ملک, اپنے قوم سے یہی کہتے ہیں کہ آپ لوگ یہ نہ سوچو کہ اس ملک نے مجھے کیا دیا ہے, یہ سوچو کہ میں نے ملک کے لیے کیا کیا ہے, میں نے ملک کے لیے کیا سوچا ہے. تو اس ملک کے لیے ہم نے سوچنا ہے, کیونکہ ہمارا ملک ایسا ملک ہے جس میں معدنیات کی کمی نہیں ہے, اس میں جنگلات کی کمی نہیں ہے, زرعی ملک ہے, اس میں ڈیزرٹ ہے, اس میں سمندریں ہے, بہت عمیق اور گہرے سمندریں ہیں. ہمارے بری فضائی اور بحری ساری ہر راستہ کھلا ہے. ہمارے ساتھ افرادی قوت ہے, ہمارے ساتھ 4 سیزن ہے, کوئی بھی کمی نہیں ہے, کسی بھی چیز کا کمی نہیں ہے. صرف اگر کمی ہے تو اس وطن کے ساتھ محبت کی کمی ہے. تو آئے مل کے ایز اے ٹیم کام کریں گے اور اس وطن کو اور اس صوبے کو پورے پاکستان میں اور پوری دنیا میں ایک روشن ستارے کی طرح روشن کریں گے. بہت مہربانی آپ لوگوں کا.
جی تھینک یو سو مچ سر. گورنمنٹ کا پرسپیکٹیو اور کمٹمنٹ اس پروسیس کو ایکشن تک لے جانے کے لیے سب سے زیادہ امپورٹنٹ ہے. ناؤ آئی ووڈ لائک ٹو تھینک PRC یونیورسٹی آف پشاور, پرٹیکولرلی ڈاکٹر اقبال فاروق شاہ صاحب, جو اس ڈائلاگ کی بیک بون ہے. دے آر دا پیپل who arrange this thing, parliamentarians, UN departments, NGOs, think tank, government departments, جو لوگ بھی یہاں پہ موجود ہیں. I thank you all for joining us. Now proceeding further, may I request Dr. Johar Ali Khan, Vice Chancellor, University of Peshawar, to deliver his welcome remarks, please.
जमा मीटिंग दे आवा 11 बजे वो लेट सुन नो देर प मजबूरी स्तासु न माजरत को मची मजबूरी मेरा कने जड़ में न वाड़ी स्तासु दा मीटिंग करे मेहरबानी थैंक यू मेहरबानी अस्सलाम वालेकुम
البندر أزمات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you so much. We got parliamentarians, happy to have them because I think they're back to their own home, which is University of Peshawar. And Liaquat Ali Khan, who've been here, Special Assistant to CM for Population Welfare, UNFPA representatives, SDPI representatives, representative of UN agencies, respected, again, parliamentarians, distinguished guests, district management, I'm seeing people from there as well. And I'm seeing so many old students of mine and other guests. Assalamu alaikum. A right time to talk about gender responsive climate, and this is a dialogue we started, and I think it should have started years back. But I think if we are late doesn't mean that we won't take any initiative. This is the time to think much about it. I'm just sharing few things with you. Starting from 2010 flood. I remember I've been asked by so many people on TV as well that time that what impact you are seeing of these floods, particularly which happened in 2010, on the local people, their economy, their livelihood, and particularly the underprivileged class in this society. I thought that time that I think this is the right time we got an opportunity for the country as well, that we have to think about the concept of town planning because this is the right time. And believe me, because it happened, I'm from district Nowshera, it devastated the entire district. It inundated our houses as well. It provided us the opportunity to think about it. What do we need to do now? Realizing the things that exist and existed in the West, because they never allow such kind of settlement the way we allow in Pakistan. If you're asking for a single house construction, you have to seek permission from their district management, district government. If they do not allow, you cannot even construct a single room. And I just sharing because luckily we got the parliamentarians. I remember my own story once. We were in London pursuing PhD years back. So we've been just moving through the 10 Downing Street and had a look of the Prime Minister. So I just had a pause because this is the Prime Minister of United Kingdom and we must gaze and see his face as well because this is too difficult to see our Prime Minister so openly. I had an English friend as well. He said, why you are looking toward? I said, this is the Prime Minister. He said, okay, forget about it. Then he narrated a story that once he was interested to construct a single more room in his house, he requested the government, the concerned quarter, that please allow me to construct a room in my house. I would afford my own expenses. And you know, the response was, you are not allowed. This is they and this is we. So realizing that particular 2010, I thought to myself, I think this is the right time. Why shouldn't we think about the concept of the town planning, which they started, initiated centuries back Why don't we have them now? And you might have seen, because I'm seeing, luckily we got environmentalists as well. Humans intervening with the environment, and mostly I say, the more you intervene, the more it would also ruin you, the more you ruin it. Because there is a very close interaction between me and the environment around. What we saw this year, I mean, the same flash flood, it devastated our districts, even almost most of the important areas of Punjab as well. In short, we can say it almost ruined the entire fabric, the financial fabric, very important. It destroyed the financial fabric, the settlement of our Pakistan. And what has happened, few days back, I heard that you cannot wheat, you cannot food item with those prices which you could get almost few months back. Impacting what? Impacting my economy, impacting particularly, I'm telling you, luckily, because this is gender responsive, anything which happens in our society, mostly the flood, etc., or any conflict which initiated, it impacts more whom? The underprivileged class of the society, and that is the women and children in particular. One thing you might have seen, when there is any displacement, the affluent class of our society, affluent, not the underprivileged, they move to such kind of settlement wherein they can lead very respectable life. The affluent class, which may be only 1%, 2% of the entire population. The rest of the people who get displaced, either they resort to living in those areas again, or they move to such areas again, life becomes too difficult for them. Believe me, this is the time. It impacts not only them more, it is impact me as well. It is impact my education, impacting my finances, and with due apology, because this is dialogue and we have to think about it. Think about issues out of the box if we need sustainable solution to our, believe me, to the problems we are faced with. I just heard about, he touched one thing very indirectly. We see what in Pakistan, most of the agricultural land which we held and used for agriculture has been occupied by the houses. And I heard few months back, even in Swat, what happened, that even this has been narrowed down to an extent of an Allah. I wish if these people could be stopped, the time when they've been erecting these buildings, this situation would not have happened. I wish. The same not only happened there, the same has happened even in Peshawar. The same, definitely, if the same race of population continue, it continue happening elsewhere as well. Few other things important. Where do we stand? I'm just sharing a story with you. Unluckily, even the story of Iqbal Sahib has been referred as well. Once we were asked in United Kingdom that we are interested to expand the road of the city because there is extreme rush. Prior to it to be decided by the government to start constructing the road or not, they consulted the universities, very important, that you have to carry out research. Do we need expansion of the road? Because if we are expanding the road, probably it might ask and might compel us to cut the trees on the roadside. I was a part of this project as well. We conducted this research for days, and we've been counting the number of the vehicles at a particular hours, how many cars, how many big vehicles, etc., they get on this time on road. And believe you me, the result was what? Instead of expanding the road, they decided we should only change the closing hours of the universities, colleges, and offices because it would lead us to cut a tree. And I think environmentalists, I'm seeing these guys, they know about it. One big tree would give you how much oxygen, very important. Cut it, it means you are going to ruin human life. On the other hand, as I refer to what happened years back, agricultural land has been occupied. I don't know where would we get to now. There are two, I think, perspectives. One perspective existed years back, and the perspective very common, and it was held by the environmentalist as well. That was anthropocentric approach. Everything is for humans. Forget about things. They are not getting extinct. Forget about it. Human is the center. Use all resources because they are in abundance. And I think you might have seen so many people around even now, they would ask you, this is the creation of, this is the creation of the creator. Forget about it because he has promised he would allow the food, etc. for the entire life as for human exists on earth, isn't it? This is one perspective. Another perspective which replaced that one, oh, resources, they are getting degraded. They are limited as well. And we have to think about the match between the population and the resources as well. Important point. Reason is how conflicts, particularly, they are being caused. One issue, there are so many reasons responsible for the conflicts, might be internal, might be external as well. And Excavating these things has disturbed the spin of the earth as well. And the spin of the earth has caused what? You are seeing climate changes. And if this climate change continue minded, I think this is too little we are seeing at the moment. There might be so many things for humans, and I don't know what would happen to us. मेरा तो ख्याल है अभी भी this is the right time, because mostly when we study the researches which are being carried out elsewhere, isn't it? And we have to particularly encourage local diversity-based researches. Since parliamentarian और आपको देखकर तो मैं आपके साथ कुछ शेयर करता हूं. These are the statistics. What do we need to do now? If we are sincere to this country, and we need to be. Iqbal Sam, he's not around. Thank you so much. ये अभी एक कहीं पे मैं as a chief guest गया था. On the stage when I stated things, तो medical college था, तो बीच में जो somebody brought a chat that you got only a minute. It passed everything, the entire discussion. लेकिन इकबाल से last में मैं आपको बता दूं, we need important है क्योंकि sitting here, owning this as a country of ours, owning this institution of ours, and owning we won't go elsewhere. ये हमारा मुल्क है, and we have to develop it as well. तो एक चीज मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है कि we have to come up with joint researches. Yes. क्योंकि यहाँ से पढ़ के और पॉलिसी कहाँ से आती है? पॉलिसी की भी दो लेवल होते हैं. If we believe in the centralized approach, that is not effective. ये ज़हन में रखिए, दुनिया में they failed the centralized approaches. Dunya believes in the decentralized approach, that the research and the findings must come from that particular local diversity based population, not from that area which doesn't know things about it. So I think we have to encourage such kind of researches with the university and with the government, with the district government, with the UNFA, for the purpose that there must be an effective policy, effective model. What can we do for the purpose that the suffering, particularly of the underprivileged class of our society, doesn't continue the same way? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You gave us a very on-ground, clearer picture. Your perspective is very insightful. Your thoughts and comments on challenges, opportunities have given us a lot to think on it. Thank you so much. So now I would request Ms. Mahjabin from UNFPA Peshawar to kindly share her quick thoughts, please. Thank you.
Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. On behalf of UNFPA, I welcome you all to our dialogue on gender responsive climate action for displaced population in Pakistan. I would like to extend special thanks to Honorable Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan, Special Advisor Chief Minister on the Population, and Vice Chancellor Saab for gracing the events and sharing their opening remarks with us and their guidance for the future and for the current dialogue. I would also like to specially acknowledge the participation of all our stakeholders from diversified fields to spare time and be with us today on this dialogue and this special dialogue, because probably these are one of the few initiatives that has been taken at the provincial level on this important agenda. I'd like to acknowledge our parliamentarians who are present today with us, academia, representatives from UN agencies, government, and many more. So thank you very much. That was exactly the objective, that we wanted to bring all the stakeholders together on one table to have this discussion and dialogue. If it is okay, I think we can be bilingual. We don't have any foreigners sitting here. So it's okay to be in our own language also, to have the comfort to speak openly. थोड़ा सा अगर मैं बैकग्राउंड दूं कि हम क्यों ये पॉलिसी डायलॉग कर रहे हैं और क्यों हम जो है वो फोकस कर रहे हैं कि हमारे पास मल्टीपल स्टेक होल्डर्स हों, प्रेजेंट हों, जैसे वीसी साहब ने भी कहा कि जॉइंट स्टडीज एंड रिसर्च होनी चाहिए. डेटा फॉर डेवलपमेंट एक इनिशिएटिव है जो प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट ने जो अभी रिसेंट पास्ट में लिया है, और जिसकी लीडरशिप जो है वो प्लानिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट में चीफ इकोनॉमिस्ट के साथ है, और वो उसको लीडरशिप प्रोवाइड कर भी रहे हैं. सो दीज डायलॉग्स आर पार्ट ऑफ दैट इनिशिएटिव एज वेल. इसका मकसद ये है ओवरऑल कि हम जो डेटा का इकोसिस्टम है एट द कंट्री लेवल एंड विद इन द प्रोविंस, हम उसको स्ट्रेंथन करना चाह रहे हैं. From federal level to provincial, and then from provincial to all the academia and all the other stakeholders जो कि practically इस field में काम कर रहे हैं. So the effort is to bring them all together. उनके जो initiatives हैं, जो data scattered पड़ा हुआ है, उसको इकट्ठा करें, उसको analyze करें, उसको streamline करें, और फिर उसको use करें अपने policies के लिए. उसमें मैं स्पेशली एक्नॉलेज करना चाहूँगी हमारे जो पॉपुलेशन रिसर्च सेंटर है बेस्ड इन द यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पेशावर, कि जिन्होंने इस इनिशिएटिव में लीडरशिप ली है एट द प्रोविंशियल लेवल टू स्टेयर एंड सपोर्ट द एकेडेमियाज कंट्रीब्यूशन टू दिस होल प्रोसेस. यूएनएफपीए नेशनली 5 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ काम कर रहा है, जिसमें यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पेशावर एंड पॉपुलेशन रिसर्च सेंटर बेस्ड इन द यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पेशावर इज़ वन ऑफ द एकेडेमियाज जिनके साथ हम काम कर रहे हैं. दो कि ये बहुत इनिशियल स्टेजेस में है, बट वी आर वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट कि जितना इंटरेस्ट है, इंथुजियाज्म है, और जितनी रियलाइजेशन है इस इम्पोर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट की और एकेडेमिया की कंट्रीब्यूशन की, वी होप कि ये आगे मजीद बढ़ेगा. सो दिस वाज आल्सो द पर्पस कि हम एक दूसरे के साथ यहाँ बैठें, लिंकेजेस और कोलैबोरेशन इस्टेब्लिश हो, और हम वो इंफॉर्मेशन एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे ला सकें कि जिसको हम आगे लेके जाके पॉलिसीज, इन्फॉर्म्ड पॉलिसीज जिसको हम कहते हैं, हमारे पास स्टैटिस्टिक्स हो, हम उसको एनालाइज करें, और बेस्ड ऑन दैट हम गवर्नमेंट को सपोर्ट करें इन मेकिंग इन्फॉर्म्ड पॉलिसीज. सबसे बड़ा एग्जांपल चूंकि बहुत रीसेंट भी है और बहुत डेविस्टेटिंग भी था, फ्लड, सब हर कोई उसको रेफर कर रहा है. एडवाइजर साहब ने भी कहा, वीसी साहब ने भी कहा, एंड शायद जो है जो हमारा क्लाइमेट एक्शन जो है सबसे ज़्यादा अभी रीसेंट जो है, हम उसी से इफ़ेक्ट हुए हैं. क्या फैक्टर्स हैं, क्या हमारे पॉलिसी शिफ्ट्स हैं कि जो कि इतना ज़्यादा इफ़ेक्ट कर रहे हैं, विद इन दैट कौन से पॉपुलेशन सेगमेंट्स हैं जो सबसे ज़्यादा इफ़ेक्ट हो रहे हैं, वल्नरेबिलिटी कहाँ पर है. जेंडर रिस्पॉन्सिव क्यों हम कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि जनरली हमारे पास यही स्टेटिस्टिक्स है और हमारे पास प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं कि विमेन एंड चिल्ड्रन, they are the most affected population segment from the climate change, displacements, or any other disaster that takes place at any place in the world and in our province also. तो थोड़ा सा जो हम special areas हैं उसको highlight करें, जिसमें gender हम बहुत ज़्यादा जो है important समझते हैं कि उसको लेके जाने की ज़रूरत है. उसके अलावा जो है मैं special thanks करना चाहूँगी. Chief Economist could not be with us. He is providing the overall leadership to this initiative. He had to go to another commitment. तो आज वो भी हमारे साथ join करना चाह रहे थे, but I would like to extend special thanks to him as well for his overall leadership and support. D4D का जो है डेटा गवर्नेंस फ्रेमवर्क जो है वो प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट के लेवल पे नोटिफाई हो चुका है, और ये सब हमारी इनिशिएटिव जो है वो उसको कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगी. इसके अलावा जो है मैं आई वुड लाइक टू एक्सटेंड स्पेशल थैंक्स टू इकबाल साहब फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग द लीडरशिप. डॉक्टर फारूक शाह साहब इज प्रेजेंट है. SDPI our partner on this D4D initiative. Dr. Sajid Amin is here, Fatma is here, Aksa is here for providing their support. And of course, I would also like to acknowledge our donor, क्योंकि बगैर फंडिंग के कोई भी इनिशिएटिव आके लेके जाना मुश्किल है. तो एम्बेसी ऑफ नेदरलैंड्स Of course, they're not here, but our dialogue discussion is being shared with them as well. So thank you very much once again, and we look forward to a very vibrant and open discussion on this forum today. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सो मच माचबिन यूएनएफपीए और आपके गाइडेंस और सपोर्ट के बगैर ये प्रोग्राम और डायलॉग पॉसिबल नहीं होता. Now I would request Dr. Wajid Ali from University of Peshawar for his presentation on climate vulnerabilities and displacement, please. Thank you.
Good day, all. My name is Dr. Wajid Ali. I work in National Center of Excellence in Geology, University of Peshawar as environmental scientist. This background presentation was developed by me and my colleague, Dr. Said Farooq Shah from Population Research Center. And the presentation has two parts. In the first part, we will be building some background and context regarding this dialogue in terms of climate vulnerabilities of displaced population in Pakistan. In the second part, we will be trying to share a summary of some certain policy gap analysis that we have carried out on the governing and key policy documents that are relevant to this policy dialogue. Next, please. So to begin with, we all know that floods and intense monsoon rains are now a common problem. The intensity of monsoons and flooding and its severity are increasing with time in Pakistan. Similarly, we are at high risk of heat waves. In the northern areas, glacial retreat and Glough's glacial lake outburst floods are compounding our impacts on local population, while in our urban areas and dry lands such as southern Pakhtunkhwa, most of Balochistan and Sindh, and southern Punjab, we are facing acute water stress. And this will increase in the meantime. The climate disasters that are, in terms of Pakistan's global ranking, we rank on 15 out of 180 countries that were ranked by Global Climate Risk Index in 2021. In 2022, we ranked #1 out of the top 10 most vulnerable countries or most hard hit or affected countries by climate disasters. The major climate hazards that impact Pakistan are mostly flood, extreme temperature, storm, and epidemics. In 40 years' time, from 1980 to 2020, 60% of our average annual hazard occurrence was because of these natural hazards. In addition to that, Pakistan also experiences landslides, droughts, and severe desertification. As I told you that flood and monsoon rainfall intensity increasing, it was noticed that during the 1980 and 2000, we experienced 12 separate years of floods. During 2001 and 2020, we experienced 16 flood years. During the past 5 years, since 2020, we have experienced 2 severe periods of floods, the 2022 and now the 2025. Analyze the scale of displacement in the recent flood events, we could estimate that since in between 2008 and 2020, 207 disaster events were reported in Pakistan. And among them, floods displaced a staggering 23.6 million people. Some people believe that 24.1 million people were displaced. However, our government insists on the 23.6 million figure. In 2022 alone, 15,000 people were killed, 8 million were displaced across the country, and damages amounted to $30.1 billion. Reportedly, it inundated 1/3 of the country's surface area. In 2025, it might be more severe. These are some of the key statistics that are appearing regarding the 2025 floods calamity. The death toll is so far 1,000 people. 2.9 million people have been evacuated. 150,000 are seeking refuge in shelters. 12,500 houses have been damaged. 240 bridges have been whitewashed. it is estimated that $50 billion of damages might be recorded this year. This might increase as the figures are still being estimated. Punjab is the worst hit provinces among all the provinces. 4.7 million people have been affected. We heard about the 400 deaths that were reported in Bishone Buner in Pakhtunkhwa. However, it is estimated that 1.6 million people might be at risk in Sindh. As far as Gilgit-Baltistan northern areas are concerned, as of now, 150,000 to 300,000 people are suspected to be affected by the recent calamities. In Pakistan, displacement is more complicated. It is not only related to climate or natural disasters. We have conflict-driven displacements. The Vice Chancellor has spoken about it in quite detail. Another important aspect of climate-related displacement is the passive climate impacts that do not manifest themselves as calamities. Slowly and gradually, they are forcing people out of their communities. And we also have development-induced displacements. One of the most common examples is the case of Sindhabad, a small shelter colony near Karachi. It is located on the outskirts of Karachi. There are 150,000 people living in there. 91,000 of them are children who are out of school. The majority of these people, the colony was formed in 2010 after the 2010 floods displaced these people. Later on, they were joined by the displacement of 2022 flood effectees. This colony is still needing all the support that our government could provide. As far as the development-induced displacements are concerned, it is projected, overall, it is projected that 2 million people might face internal climate migration or displacement by 2050. I'm talking about the cumulative figure. However, 1.2 million people were displaced in southern Sindh, mostly from its delta, because of the building of barrages and irrigation systems that reduce freshwater input into the delta system, salinize their soil and groundwater owing to seawater intrusion. It is estimated that 70% of the agricultural land in that delta is now unsuitable and conventional farming cannot happen over there. As far as the gender vulnerabilities are concerned, I was told to make it quick, so I will only focus on the key elements. During disaster, gender-based violence and exploitation increase, that peak. One of the most disturbing phenomena in Pakistan is that displaced people face high rates of young girls being dropped out of school and early marriages. Recently, someone coined the term monsoon brides. We saw this in 2010, 2012, 2022, and now in 2025, that child marriages, when people are displaced by floods, skyrocket. And this is not just a single problem, single social problem. It is a psychosocial disorder. People target displaced people to get child brides for various reasons. Even it provides opportunity for child trafficking rackets to exploit little girls. UNDP believes that 25% girls in displaced people lose their schooling rights. Similarly, we also see mental care gaps, waterborne diseases, and heat stress that disproportionately impact women in these regions. And finally, education, even for those who are not married off, is disrupted for multiple reasons. We talk about data, and in Pakistan, vulnerability and inaction is usually compounded by the lack of data. Many of our surveys, the PSLM, for example, the National Census and Labor Force Survey, do not recognize climate-induced migration. They do not recognize climate-induced displacement. Migration, according to Pakistan's Social and Living Standard Measurement, is a person moving from one district of his birth for multiple reasons to another district. So in order to streamline and disaggregate the phenomenon, we need to identify, we need to specify this clause in all of our survey so that a difficulty in assessing demographic impact and the lack of data could be resolved. There are three key documents. One is the Climate Change Gender Action Plan. It was devised in 2022 by with the help of IUCN. The government of Pakistan adopted it, and subsequently the government of KP adopted it. It has a strong gender framing, but displacement is largely unmentioned. There is a discursive erasure or discourse silence regarding displacement. KB Climate Policy and Action Plan 2022 were devised by Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government. It has detailed measures, but gender operationalization and displacements are omitted. And finally, we have disaster risk reduction frameworks, which the PDMA and DMA uses. Again, they're very good and operational on relief, but its integration with climate gender strategies is lacking. These are some of the current provisions and the gaps that we identified. We are short of time, so I'm not going into details. I will just tell you the summary. In short, when it comes to displacement, there is a discourse silence, discursive omission. We don't have enough for displacement. Gender is usually recognized as a mainstreaming or cross-cutting theme. We don't have operationalization for them. We don't have budget lines for them in any of the policy, the climate policy or the KP Climate Action Plan. And similarly, interestingly enough, one of the most important thing is the provision of protection, shelters, and gender-based, while against gender-based violence is not available in both the KP Climate Policy and Action Plan, which was extremely surprising. Thematic areas are all touched, but there is no sex disaggregated or intersectional data operations, which will enable us to understand gender intersectionality and gender climate nexus and its impacts in detail. Similarly, institutional mechanisms and structural mechanism for women participation and representation are missing. Health, wash, and education are emphasized, but legal and service access barriers and operations or standard operating procedures about them were never developed or discussed. The indicators for monitoring and evaluation, especially with regard to displacement and gender, are not enforced, or if there are some present, they are generic. These are, again, we have analyzed the climate change gender action plan based on its sectoral risks and gender impacts, but I will skip that and go to conclusion to give you a bird's eye view of that. Before that, we will benchmark KP against other provincial policies. Interesting enough, Punjab has a clear operation roadmaps in their policies. They have action sequencing, they have costing and monitoring. Sindh, on the other hand, shows a stronger linkage with provincial environmental laws. Pakhtunkhwa's policy lack both. All the three provinces show that monitoring and evaluation extremely weak. All the policies in Pakistan do not realize the value of phased and costed planning. For example, if we integrate donor coordination and programmatic financing with time horizons, such as short, medium, and long, this approach increases credibility and implementability of our action plans. Similarly, institutional and legal backing matter. Sindh and Punjab are examples of such action plans and policies where legal enforcement exists. Pakhtunkhwa lacks that. All the policies use mainstreaming logic, didactic discourse, and inclusion and equity remain weak across all provinces. These are some of the key points in to give you in summary, how we can move forward and what were the gaps in the previous documentation. Recognition of displaced population as central to climate resilience. This is the need of the day for Pakistan. Sex and status disaggregated data sets are important to inform action. We also need to use intersectionality, whether it is related with gender, age, disabilities, or any other vulnerabilities. We need to create institutional anchors, focal points, coordination groups, commissions which can enforce these actions. Dedicated financing is needed. Some documents are solely dependent on external funding. External funding encourages pilotism. This is why we should focus more on dedicated financing. And displacement sensitive GCF proposal should be developed as a starters. Accountability through monitoring and evaluation, which should include specific, measurable, achievable, and time-bound indicators. Displaced women's leadership in planning and delivery should be mandated, and there should be quotas for their inclusion in any of the decision-making committees. Women should be framed as agents of change, not as mere receptors or victims. Our policies are usually geared towards awareness and prevention or helping them, instead of enabling them to take their fate under their control. Thank you. That will be all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wajid. You gave us a base to start the discussion. But before we proceed to the discussion and open mic for everyone, I would request Ms. Zainab Naeem from HDPI. She'll be giving a short presentation, and it would be a bit technical.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, I'll be as short as possible. So I think the baseline has already been covered, and I'll try to skip the impacts. If I can have the slider, please. So just before I begin, SDPI is also very closely working on developing the district level climate adaptation planning with the KP government. And of course, P&D department is the lead department that's leading it. Apart from that, we have just developed the adaptation plan for Karak and Charsada. And one of the key findings of those plans, and that I will be linking it with my presentation, was that in District Karak, because we are developing it based on the climate risk vulnerability assessment and risk matrices. So one of the key findings was that when we had to do some household level surveys, and when we inquired about asking the women of the house for, around what does she feel about climate change and etc., the men stopped us and they said, women are not being impacted. They stay indoors. How are they being impacted? So that was, that was something we used to read in books, but that was something we experienced or witnessed for the first time actually in Karak. So it became a challenge. Plus, it became an opportunity for us to create awareness on how women are being impacted from climate change. So if you can just see this, this sort of a projection on how heat. So the baseline is 2020, because you all know that since 2020, every consecutive year becomes the hottest ever recorded on this planet. So the impact of high temperature or the heat stress that is being felt by different age groups, and how in the next few years or by 2100, it's not going to be, or rather 50 degrees Celsius will become a new normal in most parts of the world. And you all must have read the study that was released yesterday, that in Europe, more than 60,000 people have lost their lives only because they were unable to bear the heat stress or the increasing temperatures. So, and just before again, because I like to connect science with everything that I present, I'm sure you all are more aware about this ENSO process that drives the climatic patterns in South Asia. So just because there's a lot of talk about the floods of 2025 and a comparison is being made with the floods of 2022, just a reality check that in 2022, the southern oscillations or the weather pattern in South Asia was determined by the ENSO factor, which is a trend in Pacific Ocean, which dominates La Nina and El Nino. So La Nina brings more rainfall in the South Asia region, and so El Nino brings the heat waves and droughts. If you remember, we did not experience the mid-season or the spring season in 2022. We had consecutive heat waves, unprecedented heat waves and dry spell in the spring season. And because of the dry spell, there were already gulfs in the northern region. What happened after that? There was La Nina. So the droughts were dominated by El Nino, and right after El Nino, there was La Nina pattern in the Pacific Ocean that brought more clouds, and we experienced what we termed it as monsoon on steroids. But right, so the intense rainfall was dominated by the ENSO factor, by the La Nina factor at that time. This time in 2025, we were having ENSO neutral conditions, which means there was no La Nina, there was no El Nino. The monsoon had to start, on the normal pattern. But the climate change brought the monsoon from Bay of Bengal way before time, and it entered into your South Asia region, your Pakistan region before, and then it went back to the Indian region. So that is your climate change. All the rainfall, the cloud bursts, the above normal temps, even now, they are being driven by the climate change. There was no La Nina that brought more clouds, but La Nina is expected to start soon, which means you might experience, there's a probability of 55%. This data is released by World Meteorological Organization, which means that you might experience a wetter winter season and an intense winter season. So the challenges around the flood affectees, they are going to be intensified because winters are coming, and it won't be, and it is expected to be a harsh winter. So just connecting science, I think the impacts have already been discussed, but just stating it from the climate risk index reports and the Endigain index reports, how Pakistan is being impacted. The GDP will be affected 18 to 20% by 2050. Just in, I think this year it's being impacted by 2 to 4% because of the agricultural losses. So these were some, right after 2022, the floods and the climate change did not stop. It has been impacting Pakistan, the agriculture sector, the water sector, food insecurity, etc. It has been there, and our cash crops are being impacted. The colleague before me has already discussed these impacts, but just stating here again how absolute water scarcity. I mean, we are now having two extremes in Pakistan. Either we have lots of water in the form of floods, or we don't have water in the form of droughts or water in scarcity. So these are the challenges, and how food insecurity is being exacerbated. One floods creates a loss of around 4% of your GDP because your agriculture sector is the backbone of your economy. Then it also affects your industry sector. For example, sugarcane, cotton, rice crops have been impacted. So the trade is going to be affected, right? So that is not just one floods. Since 2022, it has been declining, but unfortunately, we have not been able to link it or to mainstream it in our economy, how we are being impacted by climate change. Then if you see, because of the sea level rise, migration is being driven by from your coastal belt, and then almost 0.7 million people to 2 million people, again, as already quoted by the colleague, are expected to migrate again. There's a one incident that I like to quote every time I discuss climate induced migration, because even now many experts are unable to link it. After 2022 floods, we were in Sindh to conduct one of the assessments. We met a man there who said that he had lost his home even in 2010-11 floods, and he reconstructed it, and now again he lost his home, and then after floods he had sent his son illegally to the Gulf countries because he was his only asset. What happened? The boat capsized. So these are the silent impacts which we are unable to link even now. So what happens in those households which are being run by or which are being led by women? The challenges are beyond your imagination because they're not being reported. That is your non-economic loss and damage. These are some of the financing needs based on how much Pakistan has received. So just summarizing it, it's not even peanuts. And coming towards the pledges, the Geneva pledges that were made. So 10.8 billion were pledged. What happened? How much we have received? Just quoting the facts from the data received by June 2025 from Economic Affairs Division. Out of $10.98 billion, just 5% were grants, which is $546 million. Rest were all loans, so debt under debt, right? And then by June 2025, only 42% has been disbursed, but you need to exclude the $1.88 billion oil on deferred payment. So the actual disbursement remained till 24.9%. Now you can see the adaptation needs $348 billion. But just yesterday or day before yesterday, Pakistan submitted its NDCs 3.0, and the investment needs are crossing $567 billion approximately. So, which we are not at all expecting from any partners, as the world is moving towards the opposite direction. Now, approximately 35% of rural households in Pakistan, they have at least one member migrating to urban centers for employment. And this is the data stated by your PBS. And then 2025 monsoon shocks so far. So the 6.9 million have been affected. Country how many have been displaced, and this is a very initial need assessment. The data will be released once the floods are over from Sindh, so we are still assessing. And 255 are children. More than 1,000 deaths have been reported. And then Punjab is the worst hit because it was not just the flash floods or urban floods or the hill torrents, but also the riverine floods that the province has faced so far. And then after that, now if we assess the gaps based on gender needs, wash gaps, health, sexual reproductive health bottlenecks, protection risks, schooling disrupted, lack of privacy, heightened gender-based violence, and then 79,756 women have been impacted as per the UNICEF reports. And then there are expecting mothers, and then no wash or sanitation needs are being met for those women. Even during the in-kind donations, nobody is considering that these are the basic needs of women, so they are being impacted. Now these are some more statistics. If we compare it with 2022 floods, situation is more or less the same. No improvement has been made in context of SRH, GBV, menstrual hygiene needs, sanitation needs, even resilience hubs post disasters that can help rehabilitate in context of overcoming the mental trauma of losing your loved ones, losing your houses, losing your only assets, your lands, etc. Nobody's paying heed to it. But why do we only see floods as the key disaster? There is also a heat wave, and that affects women psychologically. That affects your next generation too, with the unborn babies, and they go through it. Women are directly impacted no matter whether they go outside or whether they stay indoors. For example, if your wife is staying indoor, there's no electricity, this temperature is exceeding beyond 45 degrees Celsius. After 37 degrees Celsius, our bodies, their enzymes start to degenerate. So when she's cooking in the kitchen, and when the men of the house, they come back, they demand the rotis and everything. And when there's no electricity also, imagine the kind of stress that she goes through if you're not being able to assess or to be compassionate with her. So she suffers even if she's not a working woman. She suffers if she's going through her monthly cycles. She suffers because her enzymes are not able to bear that stress that she's going through. So the mitigation strategies, the adaptation strategies have to be aligned with your overall climate change impacts, not just one particular disaster. Plus, so SDPI just recently conducted a study on how non-economic loss and damage in context of climate anxiety, can be assessed, especially on urban women. And we did some surveys, and because climate anxiety is directly linked to your overall physical and overall well-being, right? So the kind of stress and trauma, there are different forms of anxiety. I'm just skimming through it because of the time shortage. So these are the impacts your different World Health Organization and different organizations are able to assess it. And in your developed countries, anxiety is peaking at the moment. Women in Pakistan are still very resilient. So as per our recent findings, they said that heat almost always significantly impacted their commute, especially the house help when they're coming towards your houses in extreme temperatures, and then they experience fatigue. This is all compared to men, it's doubled. And then psychological symptoms like anxiety, depression, stress, and impaired concentration during heat waves. And then they also reported significant discomfort from extreme heat. The young girls also reported the impacts. The elderly reported the impacts, and the working women, they reported the impacts. And smart mobility, it is nowhere found in the country. It is very limited at this point. So these are some of the findings. And then what strategies they were using to cope up with this anxiety. Maximum responded talking to your friends and family, because there are no other resilient hubs or rehabilitation centers or mental health centers that can help you in coping up with this kind of stress that you go through. Plus, one of the key gaps that has been addressed, that has rather not been addressed, your CC gap, the plan on gender action plan, it does not address mental health as non-economic loss and damage from climate shocks. It is nowhere mentioned anywhere. And if we start addressing it, I mean, the loss and damage goes beyond $30 billion. But our case is weak because we are not able to project it properly through gender data. So community-based climate adaptation planning is needed at household level. Bottom-up approach is needed, from very bottom-up, including your household level surveys, etc. When communities are not made part of this, you cannot assess. And also when data is not integrated in the form of climate risk vulnerability indices, climate adaptation plans are bound to fail. So no matter how many plans you develop, if data is missing, it's not going to work. So data integration and bottom-up approach is the key. Plus, these are some of the challenges that were already discussed by the colleague also. In NDCs that Pakistan has submitted, we have mentioned gender, youth, and children as under the for women in agriculture side, but we are not addressing anything related to mental health. So that's a dilemma. That's a key gap. If we are able to revise NDCs, this is something that we need to address. And then these are some of the commitments that Pakistan has made, but no commitment so far in context of your gender-based health and your sexual reproductive health, and how Pakistan will be improving the financing needs. Key recommendations: parametric insurance. I think that can be very helpful, especially for women in agriculture side. Based on the, if there is X level rainfall happening and that is impacting your area, and women are bound to stay indoors, and not even indoors, they are being shifted towards camps or evacuated, how parametric insurance needs to be developed. There's no plan as yet. So I think this is what's needed. Climate adaptive social protection schemes utilizing BISP, where not just the men in the house, but women are also provided with not just only emergency cash flows, but livestock related support, seed related support, commute related support. I think it has to be a long-term strategy. We are missing it. And then, of course, mental health as your non-economic loss and damage. There's a lot that needs to be done in this context. NDCs needs to be revised. We have just submitted it, so let's see what happens next. How can STPI provide support? And this is my last slide. Well, as I mentioned, we have been working on community-based adaptation planning. We have been working on this mental health aspect as well. We are actively doing advocacy, but I think there's more research needed on how coping strategies can be integrated in as part of your resilience building approach and adaptation planning, plus how financing can be prioritized, because this is the challenge. As the minister also mentioned, that in context of your planning, you need to prioritize. If you are prioritizing adaptation, what exactly in adaptation? Is it rural agricultural practices? Is it water? What exactly in water? How you involve private sector? So this holistic planning is missing, and I think that SDPI can provide the support in that context. Community focused awareness and resilience, and we can also train frontline workers, teachers, and district administrations in context of addressing these challenges. So there's a lot that we can do by engaging all the key stakeholders who are sitting here. We are already doing with UNFPA. So these are some of the things that we can provide support with. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Zain. It's remind us कि gender और climate के nexus को address किए बगैर sustainable solutions जो है वो possible नहीं है. Moving forward quickly to the discussion segment, we have 3 guided questions, and I encourage all the participants to take part in it. We are more into forward-looking recommendations instead of discussing the background and discussing what has already happened. So I will request everyone what solutions we can propose. I would be coming to all the honorable MPs for the concluding remarks, please. So, coming to our first question, 2025 फ्लड्स के एक्सपीरियंस से हमें क्या लेसन्स मिले हैं, किस तरह हम डिस्प्लेस्ड पॉपुलेशन की वल्नरेबिलिटीज़, शेल्टर, हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, लाइवलीहुड को सिस्टमैटिकली मैप कर सकते हैं ताकि पॉलिसीज़ डेटा ड्रिवन बन सके. Short, forward-looking, practical examples, please. So, who would like to start, please?
Start.
जी, for vulnerability mapping, some data we
Concluding your question, I can ask. Concluding remarks. Yeah. Thank you very much.
कर लेना.
I'm. अच्छा, तो नहीं, आपने अगर करनी है तो मैं बाद में, कोई बात नहीं, हाँ कर लें अगर, ठीक है.
As we all know कि हमें different kind of data needed होगा, जिसमें demographic data है, जिसमें हमारे पास जो है उसके impact assessment data है, और जिसमें हमारे पास जो है जो डाटा आपने कलेक्ट कर लिया फिर उसकी किस तरीके से आपने एनालिसिस करनी है वगैरह वगैरह. डेमोग्राफिक के लिए आपको जो है डेमोग्राफिक डाटा है, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डाटा है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का डाटा है आपके पास होना चाहिए. और इसके बाद जो डिफरेंट, अभी जैसे हमने फ्लड में देखा है जो डिफरेंट इम्पैक्ट सामने आए हैं कैंप्स में, जो उनको जो प्रॉब्लम्स कैंप्स में फेस हो रहे हैं, जिस तरह अभी 2 प्रेजेंटेशंस में हमने देखी हैं, जेंडर बेस्ड वायलेंस का हमने देखा है, कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है, उनके पास वॉश फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं है, हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं है, ये तमाम उनकी जो एक्सेसिबिलिटी है टूवर्ड्स रिसोर्सेज, इन चीज़ों को ये सब इंफॉर्मेशन जब हम कलेक्ट कर लेंगे, क्योंकि हमारे पास मेन जो गैप्स है वो ये है कि हमारे पास ये डाटा नहीं है. जो जेंडर बेस्ड डाटा है वो हमारे पास मिसिंग है. हमारे पास कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है कितने लोग डिस्प्लेस्ड हुए हैं, उनका डाटा कलेक्ट करना, उनको रजिस्टर करना, उनकी प्रॉपर जो है उनको एक ऑनरशिप देना है, उनकी जो राइट्स हैं वो ये चीज़ें कहीं भी मेंशन नहीं है हमारी किसी भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स में. तो ये चीज़ें इनको फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो हमें ये इन्फॉर्मेशन सारी कलेक्ट करनी है, तभी हम कहीं जाके वल्नरेबिलिटी मैपिंग कर सकते हैं. फिर उसके लिए डिफरेंट टूल्स हैं, हम जो हैं GIS के थ्रू कर सकते हैं कि भाई कितने हमारे पास फ्लड प्रॉन एरियाज हैं, कितने वल्नरेबल कम्युनिटीज़ हैं. सेकंड, हमारे पास डिफरेंट जो है रिग्रेशन मॉडल्स हैं हमारे पास, हम देख सकते हैं कि भाई उनका इम्पैक्ट क्या है, हम एक का दूसरे के इम्पैक्ट देख सकते हैं. हमारे पास जो है इसके अलावा रिग्रेशन मॉडल के अलावा इसका जो कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस अगर हम देख रहे हैं कि भाई कितना उसका इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है इन सोसाइटी में और पूरे इन्वायरमेंट पे, तो वल्नरेबिलिटी मैपिंग के लिए जो है हमें वो इम्पैक्ट्स हमने पहले देखना है कि भाई रिस्क असेसमेंट करनी है, हमने देखना है कि हम कितने जो है रिजिलियंस को कितना हम डेवलप कर सकते हैं कम्युनिटीज़ में. तो वल्नरेबिलिटी मैपिंग के लिए हमें अलॉट ऑफ डाटा इज़ नीडेड, और फिर उसको प्रॉपरली वो उसके लिए हमें बिल्कुल ग्रास रूट लेवल पे जाना होगा, कम्युनिटीज़ के साथ, वो हाउस होल्ड लेवल पे जाना होगा उनके साथ, क्योंकि ये लोग जो कैंप में इस वक्त रह रहे हैं इनके पास किसी किस्म की फैसिलिटीज़ एट सच नहीं है. उनको स्किल प्रोवाइड करना है, उनकी ट्रेनिंग करनी है, उनको एजुकेशन जो सफ़र हुआ है. तो इस जो आप वल्नरेबिलिटी मैपिंग करेंगे तो उसमें आपने ये सारा किस्म का डाटा कलेक्ट करना है. थैंक यू.
Thank you so much. I would request everyone to keep it short and crisp, please. Ji, please.
My name is Bushra Khan, and I'm currently the director of the Climate Change Research Institute at University of Peshawar. I'm also heading the Department of Environmental Sciences. And I have a sort of I think I can flaunt it that I have 15 years of research in the area of the climate change. A couple of disagreements on what is just said before. One is the gender consideration, and the lady mentioned that there is some enzymatic changes. Well, it's not enzymatic, it's the hormonal changes that the body go through, and it's not that the female would go through it. The males equally go through such changes. We have to basically think in a holistic manner. What trauma does a man go through when a woman is at the house and preparing the food? But in my research, there is a shift from what we think about the human perspective, and we should be thinking about it when the UN or other SDPI or other institutions come to play when it comes to the climate change. We know that we are vulnerable. I'm sorry if my discussion is a little longer, but I just want to add into what has been is going on. As far as the ecosystem is concerned, as far as the natural resource base is concerned, as environmentalists, we think that the environment is the provider. We depend on the food and the clothes that we wear and the shoes that we wear and the water that we drink. It's all the provider that is giving to us. If we take the human component out of it and we only focus on the human component, that's not a justice to the ecosystem itself. And now there is a shift, and I really want the UN and all the agencies to shift towards that concept, because I am working on it. It's the multi-species migration. And the multi-species migration tell us that when in an ecosystem there is a disaster, it's not the humans that are displaced only, it's the crops, the biodiversity, the honeybees, from the honeybees to the cattle, it's everything that gets migrated. Some in an ecosystem, why would a species want to exist and why would a species does not want to exist? And then the fundamental of the life actually relies on that. So we have to basically think about it कि जो human survival है, it's not that हमने किसी humans को जो है shift कर दिया in a camp or somewhere और उसको water provide कर दिया. What have we done to the residual ecosystem? Then your question is the 2025 floods, and I'm sorry to say that we have become as a nation a very episodal kind of people. We had a 2022 floods and every donor was here and they said, okay, what do we do about it? How do we map it? How to take care of this episode does not happen again, right? And there was a lot of money that was flowing in. But then we faced the 2010 flood and then the 2022 and then the 2025. So what are we doing? Whatever has been done before, what have we done? हमने जो policy है उसको accordingly क्यों design नहीं किया कि हम अब 2025 में फिर एक question कर रहे हैं कि जी how to map it? Why have we not done it before? And then the next question is, we all talk about the NDCs, right? The NDCs, I'm sorry to say, from the Ministry of Climate Change to up to here, the NDCs are very unrealistic. Why are we committing to the international community that we would reduce the emissions when we are not contributing the emissions? हम 1% से less emission contribute कर रहे हैं, yet we are telling them कि जी आप हमें पैसे दें और हम emission को control करेंगे. And for that reason, हमारा जो इतना बड़ा reserve पड़ा हुआ है थर में कोल का, उसको हम हाथ नहीं लगा सकते because हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जी we are bound by the NDCs. So we need to be, when someone say it's a bottom-up approach, I say it's not a bottom-up approach. हमारे पास खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में अभी तक land use policy नहीं है. मेरी अगर ज़मीन है तो मैं उस पर कुछ भी बना सकता हूँ. Let me tell you one thing. And as a scientist and as an environmentalist, this should not be my hypothesis, but I strongly believe कि जो बनीर में हुआ और जहाँ जहाँ पे हुआ, वो river जो है वो किसी के पीछे नहीं गया, but because your land use plan was so unsustainable that the river took over. Nature is very territorial. So ये सारी चीजें जो है please इसको note करें. और when we talk about all these things, we need to be thinking कि what are the policy makers doing? हमारी policies जो है वो sustainable क्यों नहीं है? Why is the corruption, the element of corruption so much infiltrated कि हम मजबूर हो जाते हैं वो ज़मीन जो हमें नहीं देनी चाहिए, वो land use plan जो हमें नहीं करना चाहिए, वो हम दोबारा करते हैं. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, any other comments, please? Anyone would like to add? Please.
Well, I'm.
Sir, I would request before you start, please make it quick because we have 2 more questions and we need to take everyone participant on board.
So I'm not asking then, I'm not sharing then. If this is, you should have, for this very important discussion, you should have a larger time. The output of this. Majibin is there, she's a colleague, so I will not comment at large. But this should have been at a stretch of time, not just 2-3 hours to have photographs and things like that. Madam mentioned something like the NDC3, but Madam, I would disagree with you also, but I would add that it's not only the industries that produces the poisonous gases. The livestock is the major, dangerous gases producer in our country, and this is an agriculture country where the economy is based 70%. Agriculture mean the livestock is the 80%. So NDC3 is a very serious issue. It's not only the industrial things which produce the NDC3 things. Coming to this very discussion from the concept note, I got that it is only for the response and recovery of the gender in the climate change, right? It is not preparedness and the reconstruction and rehabilitation stages of the climate cycle. So zooming ourselves to the response means this the early recovery and before recovery and the onset of the disaster in terms of climate change. It would have been very good that if they had done a desk review of whatever regime we have now at the moment and where the gaps are lying in terms of, for example, if there is a climate change disaster, at the onset of that, we go for the rapid need assessment, right? Where the tools which are being used, they are not, I would say, gender blind, but the gender context of the climate one should be incorporated into that, because they are mostly dominated for the earthquake and for the conflict emergency. So that thing is missing. So whatever question we have in the rapid need assessment and then in the DNA, the detailed need assessment, these are the practical things I'm sharing with you, not the AI generated things which were discussed a lot here. Because I experienced this thing in the 2010 floods in Sindh when I was with the NDMA heading the gender and child cell. We side by side went into our own, I was working with the UN Women by that time, that we did our own research that what are the specific issues with the women in the climate, in the climate, disasters, and a lot of operational issues were there. So you need to start from the rapid need assessment. You need to assess where are the missing links in that rapid need assessment in the terms of gender related to the climate. Then coming to the recovery, when we go for the recovery, we do the detailed need assessment. And of course, we do the vulnerability assessment, each and everything. So those tools needs to be studied, and those gender lens in terms of climate be incorporated. This is the first thing. Madam also talked about the data. Yes, I agree with that. And a lot of, UNFPA is also doing that thing as well in the KP, which is a very good move. But that needs to be, linked with the disaster, and this is an effort that is a development driven, data management integration led by UNFPA. So the response and the disaster element should be integrated into that. Coming to, a lot of UN agencies. Down certain things from the UN, presentation. And coming to the most important thing, I would allow other people also to the monitoring we do all the things we do, we respond, but we don't monitor. And those monitoring tools, have we checked that whether those monitoring tools have indicators related to the gender aspect of it, the child protection aspect of it, the elderly people, all the individuals. But these indicators are not there against which the response is monitored. So these are the practical things we need to take instead of mentioning the academic. These are few. I have a lot of things I will share it through the email, but these are the few practical things I wanted to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. One comment on this question. Would I? Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Basically, क्योंकि एक पॉलिसी लेवल डायलॉग है, तो मैं सिर्फ ब्रीफ तौर से दूंगी जो भी एसडीपीआई है, यूएनपीए ने प्रेजेंट किया, बहुत ही रिमार्केबल है एंड इस पर निशान उम्मीद है। लेकिन क्योंकि सर ने अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन में बता दिया कि जेंडर क्लाइमेट जो एक्शन प्लान है या पॉलिसी है वो मिसिंग है, और हमारे पास बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज इस वक्त मौजूद है लेकिन वो कोहेसिव नहीं है। सो वुड बी अ स्ट्रेटेजिक रिकमेंडेशन दैट we should have work on the cohesiveness of the policy so that make it cohesive and relevant to each other, so that framework come from these policy jointly, like DRR, climate smart and climate disaster reduction policy and gender climate smart policy all should be linked with each other. Other things which was already available in the presentation and the recommendation the madam presented it, that we should focus on the local people capacity building and the gender segregated data, which is already the data for development, the work they have started, which is very good. But it is not the recommendation here, but for future, we should, whenever we develop this data center properly data, then we should have a proper strategy for the dissemination and promotion of this data, so that every corner of the community in every sector of the public and private departments, they should know about that data quality and data usage and data verification variances. So all these, like the gender financing already mentioned there, which is one of the key area that should be taken in consideration. So all these strategic level decisions should be taken that can come with the policy which is must cohesive with the other policies as well, so to utilize all the reflection and recommendation timely together, aligned with the all the developmental factors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Apologies for this inconvenience. Pakistan में रहते हैं, so we all are used to of this thing. Coming to the next question, कुछ points अभी discuss हो भी गए हैं. मौजूदा climate action plans, gender action plans और DRR policies इंटरनल डिस्प्लेसमेंट को किस हद तक एड्रेस करती है, जो गैप्स हैं उनको क्लोज करने के लिए किस टाइप की इंस्टीट्यूशनल कोऑर्डिनेशन जरूरी है. तो आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू पार्टिसिपेट एंड आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि हम इसको इस तरह से देखें कि इफ वी वुड हैव टू स्टार्ट नेक्स्ट वीक व्हाट यू वुड डू. सो हमें इसको वी हैव टू कीप इट दिस शॉर्ट.
अगर मेरा काम है प्रोटेक्शन का और मैं काम कर रही हूँ फाइनेंस में, तो we should have sector specific whatever the responsibility of each sector, they should has to take it and should consider it for plan accordingly, so that each sector or the relevant organization or the relevant department should be considered accountable for this for their roles. So if they like health, education, climate, disaster, everything should be taken properly according to the role assigned to the department as per policy level. They should be taken accordingly.
जहाँ पर ये क्वेश्चन है, जितने भी हमारे पास जो फेडरल की क्लाइमेट चेंज पॉलिसी है या केपीके की जो क्लाइमेट चेंज पॉलिसी है या जो क्लाइमेट चेंज जेंडर बेस्ड एक्शन प्लान वगैरह है, तमाम में जेंडर का इशू मेंशन है, वुमेन पार्टिसिपेशन भी है, लेकिन जो डिस्प्लेस्ड वुमेन है उसका एज सच जितना होना चाहिए वो नहीं है, यानी उनकी क्या स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग हो वगैरह वगैरह ये चीजें उसमें नहीं है. तो हमारे पास जितनी भी जो डेवलपमेंटल प्लान्स जो बन रहे हैं चाहे वो लोकल लेवल पे हो चाहे वो नेशनल लेवल पे हो, उन डेवलपमेंटल प्लान्स में ये जो डिस्प्लेस्ड वुमेन का इशू है उसमें उनकी तमाम जो स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग है वो होनी चाहिए। ये गैप्स हैं।
I think we need to prioritize between urgent and important. The ones who are displaced, they are all trying to reach out those. मेरे हिसाब से सबसे पहले तो जो आपकी इफेक्टेड एरियाज में डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशंस हैं और उनके साथ जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कोलैबोरेट कर रही हैं, थोड़ा सा देयर शुड बी अ यूनिफाइड प्लेटफॉर्म, अ यूनिफाइड फोरम. व्हाट एसडीपीआई कैन डू राइट नाउ, all those who are involved in this rehabilitation and support of these people, एक ऐसा यूनिफाइड प्लेटफॉर्म लाए जिसमें एटलीस्ट हर कोई अपना इनपुट दे सके कि यस, this is the number of people we have accessed and these are their needs. You know, हर जगह की अपनी नीड है और मैं टोटली एग्री करूंगी बुशरा साहिबा की बात से कि इट्स नॉट ओनली वुमेन एंड जेंडर इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट वुमेन, इट्स अबाउट ऑल जेंडर्स. तो उसमें मर्द किस चीज से गुजर रहे हैं, किस फ्रस्ट्रेशन से गुजर रहे हैं, मेरा ख्याल है होलिस्टिक अप्रोच जो आपने इकोसिस्टम की बात की है और होलिस्टिक अप्रोच की बात है, तो थोड़ा सा उन एंगल्स पे हमें जरूर सोचना चाहिए कि व्हाट इज अर्जेंट, व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. डायलॉग, बातचीत भी चलती रहेगी एंड इट हैज टू बी पैरेलल. यू नो, बोथ द थिंग्स नीड टू गो पैरेलल. रिहैबिलिटेशन भी साथ साथ, नीड असेसमेंट भी करनी है आपने, एंड अगेन द वे फॉरवर्ड वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि दोबारा 5 साल के बाद हम फिर ना बैठे हों कोई बात कर रहे हों कि जी फिर सैलाब आ गया, अब क्या करें, अब क्या मैप करें, अब दोबारा से कैसे मैप करें. तो थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेटेजिकली वी नीड टू आई थिंक मूव ऑन. थैंक यू.
सोल्यूशन की तरफ जाना है।
जी जी हाँ.
This is leadership plan and working with different sector in finance department. तो जैसे कि फोरम पे डिस्कस लेकिन अभी फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट में हमारे उन्होंने एक डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्शन पॉलिसी पे काम हमने करना शुरू किया है, विच इज ऑलमोस्ट इन फाइनल स्टेजेस. और सेकेंडली हम लोगों ने आई मीन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ खैबर पख्तूनख्वा ने एक डिजास्टर रिस्क फंड कायम किया है जो इस किस्म के डिजास्टर्स के लिए मुख्तस किया हुआ है और उसको हम फ्यूचर में यूटिलाइज कर सकेंगे. तो आई नो इट विल टेक टाइम, थिंग्स विल टेक टाइम, लेकिन ये कि वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन इट. द गवर्नमेंट इज हाईली सेंसिटाइज्ड अबाउट द इश्यूज. और ये कि हाँ, जो एस्पेक्ट्स यहाँ पर अभी डिस्कस हुए हैं फीमेल रिलेटेड या जेंडर रिलेटेड, उन पे भी काम करने की जरूरत है, एंड दैट शुड आल्सो बी इंक्लूडेड इन द पॉलिसी.
I'm Ahmed Khan representing PDMA. As the forum mentioned, there are some gaps in the DRR policy as well. Ma'am said that we are still working on it, and it's under the formulation stage. It's still in formulation stages. So we need to have a coordination platform regarding this gender aspect as well. It's missing in the DRR policy. Number two, we have not taken into the consideration the displaced women or displaced females or gender. We have no such element as gender response in the DRR policy either. So rightly mentioned, and they have rightly pointed out that displaced women should be taken into consideration, and the DRR policy is still in the formulation stages, so we can incorporate your feedback into that policy as well. That.
मेरे ख्याल में स्ट्रक्चर तो और भी किले में खुले हुए हैं, प्रिंटेड काइंड मेनस्ट्रीमिंग सूरत है, तो और क्या
Sir, I was referring to the displaced.
has development
Yes.
side. So to PDA like a response, there is a gender से related है जो आपका पैकेज है जो आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे होते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल वो जो सेट में चीजें होती है देखा गया है कि इसमें सिंध में दादू में था तो सिंध में उन्होंने कहा कि ये लोबिया जो है आप लोग हमें भिजवा रहे हैं तो लोबिया के लिए कितना फ्यूल चाहिए उसको पकाने के लिए खुदा के लिए ये हम जानते हैं कि गर्म इलाका ये हमारे लिए नहीं है ये सब दादू के लिए है. तो ये अच्छा इनर टू रिच जो मदर होती है बच्चों वो चीज मेरा जेंडर वो थैला रख देना उसका जेंडर सेंस डाल और मदर का लेंस डाल आइडेंटिफाई भी हुई है लेकिन हर साल जब आते हैं तो वही जो पुराना पैकेज जो आइटम है उसमें डाल दो. सो दैट इज एन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इशू.
फोरम है इस वक्त केपी में I think they better know they are quite yes.
Exactly. Claiming that they are responding. So मतलब और क्या active writing से ये सवाल नहीं से बंदे active.
I was just referring to the DRL policy. It's all inclusive, but the forum is discussing the displaced, specifically displaced women. So we do not have any methodology to identify them, as we do not have any data regarding the specifically as regarding the women. Number one.
Disaster की वजह से सिर्फ डिस्प्लेस नहीं हुए हैं ना हमारे तो और भी बहुत सारी वजह है कुछ हमारे मैन मेड है और कुछ हमारे गार्ड मेड है जिनकी वजह से हमारी डिस्प्लेसमेंट होती रहती है और उसमें जो मोस्ट वल्नरेबल है वो खातून है और मैडम निशान उसमें बताया कि तरह की खवातीन जानती ही नहीं है कि हम पे कोई इफेक्ट आ रहा है कि नहीं.
लेवल पर गए तो मर्दों ने कहा कि खवातीन से क्यों पूछते हैं उनको क्या
पता है. हाँ मर्दों ने ये कहा.
Otherwise, I have the previous experience, I would say. But again, to cut it short, I just want to express that we should have women-based climate resilience planning. Is the ministers have told that we have like of the planning. Our planning should be women-based resilience, climate resilience. And then eco-friendly policy has been mentioned by someone. And then we should have a standardized climate literacy program so that our community know the climate vulnerability and the adaptation strategies that should be broadly make awareness station and campaigns for that. And inclusive social protection scheme should be developed for the and that regard to the gender mainstream. Thank you.
BDMA has this gender and child protection cell. Even I have distributed those packages to the affectees, even in the areas like Iraq. And in those packages, I myself have verified and seen it that we have delivered hygiene kits and even all those women requirement things we have provided it to the families. So from that angle, the PDMA is doing everything it can, and as I mentioned, the policy is all inclusive. But delving deeper into the topic, I feel there are some points which I have noted down, and it can be incorporated to the upcoming policy as well.
I have been working as a development professional for the last 25 years in this development sector. I'm the gender and child protection expert, so looking each and everything with the gender and with the child protection perspective. मैं थोड़ा सा आपको अपना पर्सनल बचपन का एक्सपीरियंस बताऊंगी. सॉरी टू से मैं सुन रही हूँ कि वी हैव वेरी शॉर्ट टाइम, बट we are here and to share something, and inshallah वो कतरा कतरा बन के समंदर बनता है. तो these are the points which we are sharing from different perspectives and from different people, and definitely it will go to the policy level. कभी ना कभी तो चले जाएंगे ना. तो जब मैं छोटी होती थी तो मैं जब अक्सर ट्रेन में सफर करती थी तो मैं रास्ते में देखती थी कि मैं कहती थी कि ये जो है दरख्त कट रहे हैं, ये हम फिर ये सब दरख्त कट रहे हैं, आबादी इतनी ज्यादा हो रही है, तो जब बड़े हो जाएंगे तो क्या हमारे लिए घर बनाने की जगह होगी. तो अक्सर अभी इवन मैं अभी भी जब कहीं से जाती हूँ वहाँ पे मुझे खाली मैदान नजर आता है, तो मुझे अच्छा लगता है कि चलो कमिंग जनरेशन के लिए तो घर बनाने की जगह होगी. तो मेरा एक पॉइंट है कि क्या जिस तरह बाहर कंट्रीज जो है, मेरी एक कुलीग थी तो वो कनाडा में थी, तो मैं उसे कह रही थी कि प्लीज शो योर हाउस, तो वो कह रही थी इट्स द सेम लेवल हाउसेस वी हैव, देयर इज अ पॉलिसी दैट नोबडी कैन लाइक कंस्ट्रक्ट देयर हाउस अपने इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे नहीं कर सकता, although it is also available this policy also, but for the very limited premises. For example, Hyderabad and University Town, it may be like strictly applicable, but the rest of the area, वहाँ पे जिसका जितना दिल चाहता है, जैसे चाहता है वैसे वो बना लेता है. तो मैं चाह रही थी कि क्या हमारी गवर्नमेंट, इससे भी ज्यादा क्विकली जाऊं फिर दौड़ लगाऊंगी और फिर डायरेक्ट एनी हाउ लाइक मैं चाह रही थी कि ये हमारी पॉलिसी का हिस्सा बन जाए कि जिस तरह फॉरेन कंट्रीज में एग्रीकल्चर एरिया जो है वो सेफ है, उनको उनकी जनरेशन जो है वो सेफ है, और यहाँ पे हम जो है एग्रीकल्चर एरिया को जो है वो अंधाधुंध उसको कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं. तो ये हमारी तो लाइफ जो है वो गुजर रही है, लेकिन कमिंग जनरेशन जो है वो एक डिजास्टर का खुदा न खास्ता फेस कर सकते हैं. दूसरा मेरा पॉइंट है कि जिस तरह मैं फॉर द लास्ट 20 years we are working on the gender and development, gender and sensitization, gender mainstreaming. So ultimately, I have seen a very good change in the attitudinal changes and the policy level. हर लेवल पे एक चेंजेस आ चुकी है. तो क्या हम इस तरह नहीं कर सकते कि कैरिकुलम में ही जो है हमारी क्लाइमेट चेंज के हवाले से या क्लाइमेट एक्शंस जो है which we have to integrate in the curriculum, so that's वो हमारी बिहेवियर का हिस्सा बन जाए कि हर बच्चा समझे कि लाइक द प्लास्टिक बोतल जो है यूज करना इट्स अगेंस्ट, इट कैन डैमेज द क्लाइमेट. प्लास्टिक बैग्स जो है इट कैन डैमेज द क्लाइमेट. तो ये जो है हमारी बिहेवियर का हिस्सा हो से है कि अभी हमारे कुछ कुलीग्स जो हैं वो रिसेंटली वहाँ पे गए थे, तो उसमें फीमेल से ज्यादा उन्होंने देखा कि मेन जो है अफेक्टेड है. वी ऑलवेज थिंक saying like gender is the need based approach, gender is the need based approach. So here I want to mention the issues which have been like going through the male over there, कि ज्यादातर मेल जो है वो साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज से दो चार हो गए हैं बिकॉज ऑफ लॉस ऑफ हाउसेस, बिकॉज ऑफ जेंडर रोल, के उनका जेंडर रोल है कि दे हैव टू अर्न, दे हैव टू कंस्ट्रक्ट, दे हैव टू प्रोवाइड bread to their family. तो they are psychologically, they are going through the psychological stress, और वहाँ पे ज्यादातर जो है वो men जो है वो stress से गुजर रहे हैं. So these are my points. Thank you very much.
And there are so many people. Thank you, sir. So we have shower with us. So quickly, sir, please.
है जो कि that lays down to the village council, the nambardars, the village patwaris, और उन लोगों तक, and then including the polio teams. For the data assessments, there was a question regarding the data assessment. I think we need to for the correct data we need people जो कि इनके साथ displaced लोगों के साथ खास तौर पे इनके साथ interact करते हों, इनके साथ हर रोज इनकी जितने भी problems हैं वो face जो कर रहे हैं वो उनको mitigate करने में उनकी help करते हैं, and that is